Hey yo there, what do you hear? What do you say? Sandkazer here, and today I'd like to talk about Stoicism, and namely how Stoicism can help us with our current problems that we're facing today in modern life, right? So, first, let's try to understand Stoicism, right? Stoicism isn't about wearing like a purple toga or contemplating life's mysteries while looking up at the stars. It's a sort of practical philosophy centered around virtue, resilience, and self awareness, right? And you could say one of the core aspects of Stoicism is setting purposeful goals, right? In a world that's, you know, completely filled with distractions of all sorts, setting meaningful goals is paramount, right? You're on your phone, you're scrolling mindlessly through social media, you feel disconnected, you feel unfulfilled. You've been through this like 1,000 times, and you tell yourself today's the day where you change, but nothing happens, right? Stoicism encourages us to reflect on our values and set goals aligned with our true aspirations, offering a sense of purpose and direction, right? Another thing that Stoicism advocates for is embracing adversary, right? Um, Now, life throws us a lot of curveballs, right? Maybe a family member dies. Maybe you didn't get the grade you wanted. Maybe you thought that things were going to pan out and you were going to get that job, but you didn't, right? It feels like you're caught in a storm without an umbrella, right? It feels like nothing's going your way, right? Stoicism teaches us to embrace adversity with grace and resilience, right? At the end of the day, there are a huge panoply of things that are outside of your control that you can't have any say over, right? Stoicism tells us to meet those things head on and try to deal with them as best as we can, right? Um, so consider any sort of pressure, say on academic or school life, right? Stoicism equips us with the sort of mental fortitude to weather the storms and emerge stronger from the other side. So one of the ways it might do this is by sort of just advocating for some mindfulness practices in the morning, right? Where at the outset of the day, you state some clear goals that you want to do, and then you just state, there are going to be things today that aren't going to go my way. And that's just the nature of reality, right? Even if you achieve everything on your to-do list, there are going to be some areas where you could do things a bit more optimally, or where you kind of wish things went a little better here as opposed to there, right? There's always going to be some leeway when it comes to like what the way you want things to be versus the way they are, right? And just keeping that sort of in mind, right, is probably one of the best things you could do for your sort of your mental health and your overall well-being, right? Keeping in mind the fact that there are going to be things that are outside of your control, and that's okay, right? And just realizing that, right? Another key aspect of Stoicism is cultivating virtue. Um, so when it comes to our society, one of the things that it seems to value is success, right? And success can be thought of in a lot of ways: material success, financial success, sexual success in terms of like other partners and that sort of thing. But there isn't really that much emphasis on character, right? Unfortunately. So cultivating virtue, intentionally cultivating virtue, not just sort of having like admirable traits, right? But going out of your way to sort of cultivate these sort of virtues like honesty, patience, virtue, temperance, chastity, right? These are virtues that often don't really get espoused a lot. Or at the very least, when they do get espoused, it's often like non-directly, right? When's the last time you heard someone say, I am going to intentionally do this to try to be a better person? It's quite rare, right? So just trying to make a concerted effort or dedicated like a time block to sort of focusing on your character, focusing on who you are, right? Just saying, okay, I want to be a person that is integral. I want to be a person that has a lot of compassion. I want to be very just to others, right? I want to try to lead a morally excellent life. This is a very rare thing to say, especially like when it comes to the people that I hang around with and people that I know and probably the people that you know, right? But it shouldn't be, right? And you another aspect of stoicism is finding serenity and mindfulness, right? In a world that's constantly filled with noise, distraction, right? Cultivating mindfulness is, you could say, an act of rebellion. That's not an exaggeration in the slightest, right? Picture the stress and anxiety that plague so many people today, right? um, Stoicism tells us, okay, be mindful of the present moment, be aware of the present moment, try to find peace amidst the chaos, and try to reconnect with who we are, right, in ourselves, right? And probably, I think, in my humble opinion, probably the most important takeaway from Stoicism is self-discipline, right? We can do anything we want. That's not an exaggeration to say. There are opportunities present to the average person that wasn't available to even like the richest man alive 100 years ago, right? How many people have dreamed of being a comedian, an actress, a playwright, a writer, a singer, a dancer, whatever it may be, right? Whatever sort of profession you find interesting, right? There are so many people who have access to these opportunities, and yet so many people squander those opportunities, right? Instead, they spend time on their phone, or they spend time just basically wasting away their lives, right? And then they grow up one day and they look around and they think, I'm old. When did that happen, right? And the reason as to why is because of instant gratification, right? Instead of waiting, instead of focusing on themselves, instead of trying to ensure that the years where they were at their peak physical health was spent on themselves and their community and their family, they spent it instead on like these instant gratification instead of like actually trying to better themselves, right? So in a culture where instant gratification is the norm, right, self-discipline is a superpower. It literally is, right? So when you sort of think about procrastination and unhealthy habits, right, you don't like these things about you. You don't like these aspects of yourself, but yet you still do them, right, again and again and again and again, right? Stoicism empowers us to exercise restraint, right, temperance, right, and cultivate disciplined habits, ensuring that our full potential is unlocked and that we have long-term success, right? Because it's really easy to be successful in the short term. It's really easy to have one good day. It's really easy to have one good week. It's really good to have one good month, right? How many people can say that they've been successful year after year after year after year, right? Not many, right? So once you have that self-discipline, once you have that restraint, then anything's available to you, really. Like the sky is the limit, right? And another thing that often doesn't get mentioned a lot, unfortunately, is our sense of isolation, right? I have more people on my contacts list than I can even count, right? Probably hundreds at this point, right? But when it comes to the people that I actually want to talk to, and the people that would want to talk to me, it's probably less than a dozen, right? We have access to more people than we ever have at any moment in our lives, and yet we still feel so alone, right? Now, why is this, right? It's because, well, foremost, we don't take care of our mental health, and B, we don't take an active part in our relationships a lot of the time, right? We don't make concerted efforts to try to reach out to people. We don't make concerted efforts to pay attention to people while we're talking to them. We don't make a concerted effort to try to understand people, try to put ourselves in their shoes, right? When you are 100% in focused and engaged and listening to someone, right, that shows, right? People care about that. People want that, right? However, right, imagine like you're in a conversation, right, and you're talking, things are going well, but the other person is on their phone. They're constantly scrolling. They're not even paying attention to what you're saying. They maybe respond to like every other sentence that you're saying. Now, obviously, there's going to be a massive disconnect between the two, right? You're going to feel like a huge sense of appreciation for the first person, and you're going to be like mildly annoyed to, maybe even angry at the latter person, right? But why? Because they're giving you their attention, right? Because when you give someone your attention, that tells you that they mean something to you, right? Those words have value, right? If Bill Gates said, if you pay attention to the words I'm about to say, and I'll give you, I don't know, £10,000, right? Every single person, right, that I know would pay attention, both ears open, they would strain, they would do everything in their power to make sure that they heard those words, right? Now, question to ask ourselves is, okay, well, what about 100? What about a fiver? Most people would probably do the same for a fiver, right? And then you sort of realize it, right, that most people probably don't even value your words at like more than a pound, right? They just don't care about what you have to say, right? They're not even like listening to you. They're just waiting, right, for you to stop talking, right? And they just want to put in their own sense and they want to talk about their day, but they don't want to care. They don't care about you personally, right? And Stoicism can teach us to go out and seek connection, support from like-minded individuals, fostering a sense of belonging and solidarity, right? And you could say another aspect is, in a world that's sort of moving at a breakneck pace, right? Taking the time for a little bit of self-reflection is arguably like a revolutionary act of self-care, right? When you sort of think about, well, all of the times, right, that technology has changed in like the past 10 years, right? You just marvel, right? 20 years ago, like the internet was barely a thing, and now you can't remember the last time you met someone that didn't have a smartphone, right? But just taking the time out of your day to just sort of think, okay, right, where am I going? What am I doing? What are the actions that have led me up to this moment? And what can I do to improve and fully immerse myself in this moment, right? Just keeping that in mind is it'll just do wonders for your mental health, right? So in conclusion, to sort of wrap things up, right? Stoicism isn't like a relic of the past, right? It's not like some philosophy that's of no use to us today. It's not like many aspects of, say, religion or whatever else. It's timeless, right? A lot of the key principles and a lot of the key ideas are things that are applicable in pretty much all ages because they're human, right? These are fundamentally like the Stoics basically talked about the human condition, and certain aspects of the human condition won't ever change, right? So yeah, just to reiterate, it's not a relic of the past. It's a timeless philosophy that can offer us extremely valuable wisdom for navigating the complexities of modern life And I sincerely believe that if you embrace Stoic principles, you can cultivate a whole host of virtues such as resilience, purposefulness, um, and you can navigate life's challenge with courage, right? Because you're going to need lots of it, right? Life's difficult. It's no walk in the park. It kind of reminds me of a joke by Jim Rohn. Life's really difficult, right? It's so difficult that you're not going to make it out alive. Sorry for the terrible joke, but I just wanted to end on a positive note. And with that, I think this is me, Sandkazer, logging off, and I hope you enjoyed the video and found it helpful. Take care. All the best.